This is Gary Atencio with CNTV, and today we're in Castle Rock, Colorado. I'm here with Future of School. Since 2015, this nonprofit organization has been mobilizing change in American K-12 education, ensuring all students reach their potential, no matter where learning takes place. I'm joined with Amy Valentine. Thanks so much for joining us here today. Amy, let's start off a little bit about yourself. You're basically founding executive director. This began in 2015. Prior to that, you received your formal education really at the Ohio University. Mm-hmm. Your experience for the past 14 plus years is really a passion for learning and education within K-12 sector. You served as executive director as well as global development. Share with me a little bit how this passion got started in educating and improving the education for the leaders of tomorrow.
First of all, thank you for having me, Gary. It's so great to be here. I have been in education for my entire career, and I didn't enter into that as a passion pursuit. It was by divine accident, I call it. When I was in grad school, I was very passionate about language, Spanish. So I did my master's in Spanish. And as part of my program, I was invited to be a TA to teach undergraduates for a scholarship. And I honestly had not thought about teaching prior to that. From the minute I stepped in the classroom and had the opportunity to work with, I call them kids, but they were close to my age.
Sure.
I committed myself to education in some way, shape, or form for my career.
I mean, really, education has always been the focus for any parent out there. But since 2020, have we seen even more concern as we realize that change is inevitable, especially when it comes to education? I mean, that we now need to be open maybe to some new platforms in the way of learning.
1,000%, that's the truth. That's exactly what happened. I've been in the space of educational technology, they call it ed tech, since 2005. And we've been, beating the drum that there's nothing wrong with the traditional education system, but K-12 schools haven't evolved at the same rate and pace that other entities in society have. Healthcare, consumer, shopping, you name it, insurance. And so we've been in the space of telling the story and elevating the voices of students and teachers and parents, and in terms of what it looks like when you integrate the smart use of technology in schools, and having no idea about the pandemic. And then the pandemic hit, and yeah.
Schools that have risen to this challenge, I mean, despite their constraints, are these resilient schools that are really your prime partners? I mean, to further your mission, and why are they a good fit for the program?
Our team talks about any partner, or the perfect partner for us is anyone who cares about kids and wants to make a difference in what the future of our country looks like. Because there's a lack of connection points between K-12 education, workforce readiness, and personal success in life. It's not the 4-year degree is the golden ticket. That may have been the case years ago, but society has evolved, and it's exciting. The change is exciting, but it's also very scary to a system that has remained relatively the same since the small brick and mortar schoolhouses when our country was founded.
What worked yesterday doesn't necessarily work today. Let's educate the viewers out there. Blended learning. I mean, I'm sure people out there have never even heard of such a term as myself. I wasn't raised with blended learning, so share with what that is. What is that?
Yeah, and I was not either. I was not raised with blended learning, so it was new to me when I entered the space of education. Blended learning is the combination of being in a school setting where you have an instructor, but the student has choice and voice in how they learn and in the rate and pace of how they learn. So it's what we saw in the pandemic wasn't blended learning. It wasn't even online learning. It was crisis schooling. We call it crisis schooling because online and blended learning have been a part of K-12 schools since the mid-1990s.
Okay.
But we haven't had a need to explore it as a country. And so blended learning really is about the integration of technology and giving students choice in how they learn and giving teachers options in how they work with kids.
That is exciting. I mean, if we're talking about blended learning, I mean, is flexibility really the first requirement for any school? I mean, schools that are willing to do whatever it takes, not only to provide an education, but really make sure it's accessible education equally for everyone.
That is, resilience is an important piece of it, because the pandemic showed us that we need to be able to stand up and deliver what kids need. And we saw in the media teachers delivering meals to students, and their, the basic needs, a lot of schools were providing that. And so the resilience piece is critical, because you can have, I've visited schools, Gary, where there's boxes of iPads that have gone unopened. It's not about the technology, it's about the ability to change and adapt with the times, knowing that the jobs of the future, our kids are going to create what the jobs of the future are. And we need to make sure they have all the skills they need to be successful and to build the next generation in society hand in hand with us.
So not only is knowledge power, knowledge is potential power, just like the technology is potential power for them if it's used. I mean, the root of any educational system is the teacher. This is not the teacher of yesterday we're talking about, but rather one that is open to a new mindset to shift from what you call crisis schooling to remote learning. Explain why that's imperative that teachers are on board with that.
It's imperative that teachers are on board with that, because whether we look at snow days to, heaven forbid, some other catastrophic major school shutdown,
right,
technology, blended learning, and innovative practices, they allow for teaching and learning to continue. It's almost as if under no other circumstances would our schools have made the amount of forward progress that they made in such a short period of time. And with that comes pain points. I was just listening this morning to an interview with a teacher who has been teaching for 12 years and is leaving the profession. It's too much for him. It's too much. You hear about the National Guard being employed to drive school buses in districts. You hear about parents stepping in as substitute teachers in their children's school. We are at a critical crossroads to make sure that we value teachers, that we recognize how hard their jobs are, and that we support that.
I mean, the goal of the organization is to document and forecast the evolution of K through 12 education. How are you able to do this in real time? I mean, basically telling the stories that are relevant and obviously up to date.
Through our programs, through the programs that we offer. We give scholarships to graduating seniors who have taken online and blended classes, who share their testimonials about how it changed their life. We give grants to teachers who want to shapeshift and transform their classrooms without going through a long, arduous grant process where they need the money now. And so we're able to do that. And then also through campaigns. We're launching a really exciting campaign that's based upon what we're hearing from kids today, right now. A campaign that they will feel heard, they will feel valued, and their engagement in school is going to forever change.
I mean, although the COVID disruption caused havoc in our school systems, the plus side is it was kind of a wake-up call. I mean, really, and it revealed some of these schools that were better equipped because remote learning was already maybe in place.
Mm-hmm. We call that at our organization the silver lining of the pandemic. And it's, I struggled saying that initially because it's been a really difficult few years for our society. Mm-hmm. But one of the beautiful silver linings is this shift and this transition where online and blended schools that have been around for years, and districts, you don't have to be a formal blended learning program in your district. There's a district in Colorado that has about 250 students. It's in one of the most rural parts of the state. And their superintendent has ensured for the last 10 or so years that he's been superintendent, any course, class, or content area that the students want to take, he finds a way to make that class, course, or program accessible to them, overcoming all the odds of limited broadband, rural, limited instructional staff. And so it's not about a perfected way. Mm-mm. The future of school is being designed today. And that's what we're doing as a nonprofit, is sharing those stories, empowering students, teachers, and parents.
So really the problem is some of these schools were ready, but let's face it, many were not. Is that really the challenge? The mission of your organization is to increase those numbers out there so that it is available to more.
It is. It really is. It's to share the benefits and advantages of blended and online learning with our country, so that people can see that when you look at the list of skills that employers are seeking, that they say they can't, the skills that are lacking in employees that are entering the workforce, those skills are almost exactly the same as the skills that are fostered in technology, in the use of technology in K-12 schools. Why do we wait? Why are we waiting until kids go to college or have on-the-job training? Why aren't we customizing and personalizing their education in a way that's scalable for teachers? It keeps the students happy. It makes the teacher's job much more efficient and effective when people are on board. But it's also, I also recognize it's scary. It's a big departure from the one-size-fits-all worksheet formative assessment.
What we're used to. Obviously, the proactive approach is much better than a reactive approach. Also here, I mean, the resilient schools are prepared, they're well equipped, they have confident teachers, therefore producing empowered students. I mean, the leaders of tomorrow. I mean, this has to really make a real impact, not only directly, but indirectly for everybody. I mean, we all win in the community.
It does, and that's what we're trying to share, is that you don't, as a school leader or as a school, have to have a fully baked plan. In fact, that can work against schools. If they think that this is the one way, this is the super highway to success, that sometimes can work against them. It's about ebbing and flowing with what society says, you know, the workforce is going to need, and what kids need, and what the community needs, and involving the community in that process.
Speaking of impact, your program has basically in the past short 7 years already affected over 2.5 million students, 200 plus school districts, 1,200 plus schools, 170,000 teachers. Yet, at the same time, do you feel like you're just getting started?
I do feel like we're just getting started, because there's 56.6 million students in our country. And one thing that we've heard from them, and this is related to the campaign we're rolling out, is, I don't like school. I hate school. They're saying it more now. And now we have a responsibility to respond to that. And so, yes, there is a lot of work to be done, but it's exciting work. And it's work that we don't want cookie cutter schools that look the same, but the best practices and the parental involvement, those are strategies that can be replicated and should be.
So how do the schools get involved? What is the process for them to be part of the program?
Any school that's interested in applying for our teacher or school grant can find out more information on our website, futureof.school. Leaders come to us also for resources. We make all of our reports and research available for free. As a nonprofit, that's one of the most beautiful parts of our work, is we aren't selling anything. We aren't trying to bring anyone in who isn't ready for that change. And because of the nature of parents saying, I need help, and kids saying, there's a better way, and teachers saying, gosh, I don't want to start from scratch, we have those resources and we make them available on our website.
I mean, the schools, therefore, ultimately the students are at the receiving end of the benefits of this program. But this is really a program for the people, by the people. How are community leaders, maybe even businesses out there, able to support this, and how do you get them involved?
There are various ways for them to get involved. I mean, we say as an organization, you can bring your work, your wisdom, or your wealth. There's people that want to be involved in those different ways, and we welcome that. We obviously, as a nonprofit that's Colorado-based, we're very proud of the fact that we're here in Colorado. The larger that we scale and the more people that we serve is the more we serve the Colorado economy, and the more we're able to be grounded here. And so it's not just for people within the Douglas County or within the state of Colorado. We're nationwide, and we are continually reviewing requests for partnerships, for charitable contributions. It was interesting to me that over 85% of the funds that go to nonprofits, they come from individuals. So people are starting to realize that my contribution matters. Every dollar matters.
Totally, like what you said, your wisdom or your wealth, and we're not talking even about a lot of wealth, just every bit helps when it comes to a nonprofit. Your organization really has spearheaded this much needed change. because standing still is no longer an option. Focusing for us to ask, what's our future worth? Is that question really what gets you up every day and continues for you to push forward?
What gets me up every day are the kids, the voices of the kids. Collectively, individually, I am a guest teacher in schools about twice a month to be able to have my ear to the ground. And that has been so priceless for me to be able to hear from kids and make decisions based upon what's going on in classrooms, what they're saying. And so it really is the children, because K-12 schools, it's an industry where the consumer or the client, the kids, they're the least heard from. So that's why I do what I do, is for the children.
And you do a great job. We need more education evangelists out there to join you.
I can't thank you enough for the impact that's going to have. I'm the first in my family to attend college, and let alone I'm going to have to pay for it myself. So the stress of financial instability is relieved for a year, and I can't thank you enough for that.
Viewers, let's take a look at the bottom of the screen right there. What you're going to see is their website. First of all, on the website, you're going to learn more about their program, check out their partners, and really take a look at the impact that this has made in just the past 7 years. Research has revealed that, the research they put together has revealed some amazing stories. You can listen to them right there on the website as well. Basically, it's important that we get out there and share the mission as well as a community. Educators, let the community know that something like this exists. And like she said, if you want to pitch in and help, your wisdom, your wealth, donations obviously are the lifeblood of any nonprofit organization out there. Once again, that is Future of School, mobilizing change in American K-12 education from a one-size-fits-all system to one that ensures all students reach their unbounded potential, no matter where their learning takes place. This is Gary Atencio with CNTV, and if you don't know, now you know.